Why are the episodes of Doctor Who, a show that used to be my favorite show before it went woke, Heaven Sent and Hellbent, such episodes that resonate with me so powerfully? Welcome to day 184. I'm telling I'm a YouTube millionaire. So basically, the overarching theme of that pair of episodes is Clara, the woman who was his assistant at that time, which, by the way, in real life is a gorgeous woman, in my opinion, ends up being forcibly unalived by a crow, or a being that's taking the representation of a crow. And she did nothing to deserve it. She did nothing wrong. But it was placed upon her by some jackass. And some jackass in the Gallifreyan world, which is the Doctor's home world, specifically to lure him into a prison of their creating. Because they wanted him to explain to them the prophecy of the hybrid, which is a melding of the Daleks and the Time Lords. He doesn't actually have the information that they seek, per se, or rather, he doesn't know that he has it. But what happened there, why it resonates with me so profoundly, is that they put him in a prison that had essentially no escape. He was going to be there until he gave them what they sought. Except there was an escape. It's just that the escape seemed so ridiculously far away and difficult to attain that anybody who was sane would give up. At least, that's what you might think. He had to punch his way through a wall of splantinium, which is, in that show, a material that's like 1,000 times stronger than diamond, that was 20 feet thick, after he discovered that that was where he needed to go, which took months for him to figure out. And he'd have a handful of seconds to punch the wall with his bare hands before the stalker in his prison would get him finally and cause him to pass away. But the way the torture chamber was designed was it was supposed to be zero entropy. So no energy out of the system, no energy into the system. What's there is there. That means that whenever the Doctor would dissipate and go on to the next life, he would reform into exactly who he was before, without any of his memories, essentially precisely how he came into the torture chamber. He'd have to go through the entire process again to re-find the way out and get a handful of seconds in each one of those lives to punch at the wall of splantinium with his bare fists. I mean, maybe perhaps if he wanted to, he could take off one of his shoes and whack it with his shoes. But the point stands. So it goes with the design of this reality. Everything might be stacked up against you. And everybody might know what's actually going on. But they ain't gonna tell you, because you need to get this done. And it does have an end state. It's basically a reversal of the roles between Satan and God, in that God has to suffer for a near eternity to save his children, humanity. But of course he's willing to do it. That's a reward that is infinitely important. So, as I've explained to you guys, all the various things that have happened in my lives, I still haven't given you all of them, but a bunch of them, that would make a normal person want to unalive themselves. Each one of those, consider it a standard deviation away from the norm in terms of how many people would be able to endure it without unaliving themselves. So one of those situations is a single standard deviation away, which means that only 15% of the population would be able to handle it. Two of them is 2 standard deviations away, 1% of the population would be able to handle it. 3 of them, 3 standard deviations away, 0.1% of the population would be able to handle it, etc., etc. All told, from what I can gather, just rough estimate, I've had about a dozen of those things happen to me. Maybe even more. The thing is, it's not even an option to me to do that other thing. It never has been. It never will be. You want to know why? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. You could literally be walking through hell for a veritable eternity. Devastation and apocalypse around you in every direction. But if you're with God, if you're with love, none of that stuff matters. In my novel series, the main character, the scientist, is shown to do something like that. Everybody around him can see that after a veritable eternity, he does legitimately succeed in his goal of saving the universe, saving existence. But he's the only one that cannot see it until the very end, because he's literally making the reality as he does it. So everybody else can see the end state, which is Eden, heaven, right? As you and I might perceive. But every time he tries to look into that future with his time machine, all he sees is an empty, infinite entropy void, where everything has completely dissolved and it is perfectly uniform nothingness, where time no longer exists. The theorized end to the universe, as our astrophysicists currently believe it's probably going to go to. That's what he sees. And he keeps going anyway. Why? Because the people with whom he is working are what matter to him. He wants to be with them. He wants to have a personal relationship with them because he loves them. There's no end goal aside from that. He's already attaining it. And if he has to go through hell in order to accomplish it, all the more proof of his love for humanity and the other species with whom he works in the story. Basically all life. So every time I'm punched in the gut by this parasitic force behind the scenes, which is real, it's actually there, it provides all the more proof that I actually mean what I say. I actually believe what I say I believe. And I really do care about people as much as I say I do. And if I get nothing, no material possessions out of this, don't take it too seriously. Nobody gets out of this life alive. It's real stuff that's happened to me. And I will not let it be rendered irrelevant by nobody knowing that it has. Because I bring up that maybe everybody knows what's going on except for you. I'm not assuming that. I think nobody knows what's going on except for a handful of people that are actually carrying out the torture. The devil, as you might say. But even so, I will continue. If nobody were to see it, that would be a shame. But I'm trying to do everything I can to ensure that the story does not go quietly into the good night. That it will be heard. You have to do the same thing. Communication is everything. Alright. That's what I got for you today, guys. Love y'all.